Starting off in the NBA with All Star Weekend. Ratings came out for the actual All Star game. They were the lowest in NBA or in history, in the game's history. Obviously, All Star Weekend is starting to kind of fall flat with fans. Slam dunk contest hasn't been too exciting these last few years. Even though Mac McClung did put on a show this year, he is a G leaguer, so it's kind of sad that we need to ask these G League players to come up and participate in these dunk contests as opposed to any guys who actually get some NBA run. No offense to Mac McClung, of course. But then, and also, like, I mean, really, I guess the biggest thing right now is the 3 point contest because that's the that's the cool thing to do in basketball now is to shoot the three real well. But even that, we had people like Julius Randle who didn't deserve to be in it this year. Over people like other, I can't think of anybody off the top of my head, but Julius
Isaiah
Randle,
Joe.
who?
Isaiah Joe.
Isaiah Joe, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I forgot he was hitting, he was clutch from three this year. I mean, there was a bunch of other candidates other than Julius Randle, but for some reason he got the nod, and it wasn't even like a hometown thing because the All Star game was in Utah this year. It wasn't even in New York. But kind of want to get your guys' opinions on it. I guess I'll start with you, Aaron. Do you think the All Star weekend is dead in the NBA?
Uh, they need to find a way to make it more exciting. That's for sure. I mean, who was it that said the All Star game was like a glorified layup line? I mean, it's true. You know, there's nothing exciting about just watching pros run back and forth, shooting from
Right,
as deep as they can, or making dunks with no defense.
right.
So it's dumb, and we kind of talked about this earlier, um, about maybe like some possible solutions for it. So I don't.
Yeah, we'll get into
I
some
don't know.
possible we'll get into some possible solutions here in a second. But before we do, I just want to kind of get the other guys' opinions on it. Siege, what do you think about the NBA All Star Weekend? Do you think like obviously improvements need to be made somewhere, but what do you think the key issue is with it right now?
I think the key issue is there's nothing to play for. Like it's just like y'all are saying, it's literally just a glorified layup line. I mean, people are scared to get hurt during the All Star break.
Which is understandable.
And I mean, you saw it with LeBron. Like LeBron, the one time he tried to play defense and blocked Shea, he hurt his hand and had to come out of the game.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's like it's kind of weird. But I mean, he plays however many games in the season and doesn't hurt his hand on that same exact play every other
right.
time. So um, I don't know. I did. I'll be honest. I didn't watch hardly any of the game. I barely watched the dunk contest.
Yeah,
I mean, I paid attention to Mac McClung just because I liked watching his videos when he was in high school and he was dunking and coming up with crazy dunks in high school.
right.
So I like Mac McClung. I think he put on a great show.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's kind of where the NBA does good stuff when they bring these not no name guys, but guys that have a special talent in like specifically dunking, like Mac McClung.
Sure.
And I mean that's entertaining, but the rest of it's just not entertaining at all.
Right. Yeah, me and Joe even talked about right afterwards. I made the comment that Mac McClung winning, if you're going to bring up people like Mac McClung to participate in it, again, no offense to him, but he's only played 2 games in the NBA his entire career. So it's not like he's, a 12th man on the roster kind of guy. He's like an afterthought for the most part. Um, and like I made the comment that you might as well just bring in these like and one guys and professional dunkers to participate in it because like I mean if you're not getting actual NBA players, then what's the point in getting G leaguers when you can get people who are like do this for a living? Um,
Like that Jordan Kilgannon guy
right,
or whatever.
exactly, yeah, people like that. But what do you think, Joe? What are your thoughts on NBA weekend? It's All Star weekend.
I agree. I mean, it's boring when the 3 point contest becomes the most exciting event to watch, and it really is because at least 3 point shooting. I get it. You're not really gonna get hurt. Nothing's gonna happen, so you can get the best guys like
Right.
Steph, Dame, and Tatum, like things like that. But I mean, if we're doing like dunk contests, like yeah, Jordan Kilgannon, like dude, go get some street dudes that can fly that'll come up with some real creativity and do some crazy stuff that no one's seen before. If we're not gonna stick to at least NBA guys.
Yeah.
Props to McClung. Shout out to him though for was like won 100K,
Oh yeah.
and then he just
yeah.
Puma
He,
now
like doubled
after
his
that.
salary.
Yeah. He got a
So like
he got a scholar or not a scholarship. He got an endorsement with Puma.
yeah, so like good for him. Like way to make the best of your opportunity. He did put on a good show. What he probably had the most creative dunks. He was the only one to land all of them on the first try.
That
like,
was I'll give him.
that
I'll
was,
definitely
like-
give him credit for that. We haven't seen that at all recently.
Yeah.
People hitting it on the first try every single time.
And he wouldn't hold a candle to guys like Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon,
No.
but like at that point, like if everybody's gonna say no, we got to go something else. Like you just kind of got to switch it up. The All-Star game is terrible to watch just because there's no defense. I get it, dudes don't want to get hurt, but I mean, if we're gonna do that, do what the NFL did, switch up the game, just turn it into an entire weekend of just different events or something to
Right.
just put something out there because it had less viewers than the Pro Bowl games did.
Which
Those
is
were just
sad.
games; they weren't even playing anything. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the sad part about it.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that a little bit. Like, obviously, a lot of people have been saying that they need to make changes to it, but the only changes they seem to make is instead of it being East versus West, they have people draft their teams, and now it's draft them in front of a live audience right before the game, which I did think was cool. I didn't mind that. I thought that was a pretty cool touch.
And draft the reserves first. Is
Right,
The next
yeah.
Is the thing they want to do, or that they're doing, right?
Yeah, they did the
Like,
reserves first.
So there's
and
no
then the starters.
last pick.
Right,
Like,
yeah. So there's
come
no
on
like
now.
real last pick because you're still
Participation
starting
trophies here now.
Right, yeah, that's kind of lame. But I know. I think Aaron brought up potentially bringing in a 1v1 tournament. I think that would be really cool, even if it's not in place of the actual game. Maybe in like a King of the Court type situation in place of the dunk contest. I think that would be pretty sick. Obviously, people aren't going to go 100%, but going like it's still going to be more entertaining because people at least pull off some crazy ass shots as opposed to trying to dunk while crossing under two legs in the air. But what do you think, Aaron? What are some other ideas that you maybe have for making All Star Weekend better?
Well, this one just kind of popped into my head because you were talking about McClung being like a G Leaguer. Maybe we do like all of the same events, but for like the G League players, the best players in the G League, and then whoever like wins, their team gets an exception for like a contract for the end of the season, so they get to stay with their NBA team, and if they play, they play, but at least they get a shot,
Right.
at some practices, maybe some minutes, who knows? But I mean, they give them something to play for, something to really give
Yeah.
them some motivation.
Yeah, I don't know all the logistics of the G League affiliates of the NBA teams because I know that you can sign players from other G League affiliates out of the G League if you wanted to, kind of like a practice squad situation. So I don't know how that would be able to work exactly, but it's a really cool idea. I like the idea of bringing in the G Leaguers to play for an NBA contract. That's definitely going to be more exciting, and people are going to be more competitive than what's going on now. What do you think, Joe? You got any other ideas other than the 1v1 tournament and then maybe play for a contract? That's pretty very WWE-esque, but I like it.
Yeah, one thing I think I would really like to see would be, I've seen it out there before, is USA versus World. If the
Oh,
players are
yeah.
gonna play hard,
We can do
just
that now.
all the best foreign players. Yeah, now, like, or even if you do like a shortened like 1/4 of the 5 best USA to 5 best world players and let them go at it. Like 1/4 hard basketball. Maybe put some money on the line for each of those teams. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, you
Yeah.
could do reserve roster too, but I'm just trying to think of a different event. Like, I think or the 1-on-1, but I honestly don't know how many dudes are gonna go 1-on-1 just because that's gonna expose you real quick too if you go out there
That's a
and
good
just get
point. Yeah,
dogged by
but that's the
you
thing.
know, not even the best guy.
Right, but we'll get to see the guys that are like they are confident enough in their abilities to go do that, and I think that'd be pretty sick. And I think
Exactly.
a lot of the top guys would. I mean, like I bet you KD would be out there. I bet you Steph would be out there. I don't know. I bet you LeBron would be out there. to an extent. Maybe not anymore because he's hurt. He's worried he's going to get injured at this age. But
Kyrie would.
Kyrie definitely
That boy
would.
would
Yeah,
go.
I think
people would
Luca
talk
would.
so much crap about him, and he would go out there and put on a
I-
show against.
I
some of
think
them dudes.
Luca would participate in the dunk contest if he had the hops, but we all know he wouldn't be able to actually do that. But I think he'd want to. I think he'd definitely be down if he was asked. What do you think, Siege? You got any ideas for ways to improve the All-Star weekend?
Not necessarily any like event ideas or anything like that. I just think there needs to be something to play for, something worth to play for, I guess. Because
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it with the NFL, we've seen it with the NBA. Like the viewership is just down because there's nothing to play for and nobody plays hard, and that's what viewers want to see: competitive basketball, competitive football, competitive baseball, whatever sport it is. They want to see people compete, and that's just not happening anymore during these all-star events.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
To change that necessarily, but
right. Yeah, I mean, that seems to be partially the issue. Is that I guess technically they do play for something. They play for money towards a charity, but
but they don't care.
right. Yeah, let's be honest.
Either way, the money's going to charity. you
Right,
know?
exactly. So I definitely think they need something to play for to make it more exciting. Obviously, the MLB All-Star Game was much more exciting back when they played for home field advantage of the World Series. I know a lot of people would argue that, like, oh, well, half the roster, they knew they weren't going to have a chance with the World Series, so they wouldn't care about that. But at the end of the day, I think just the competitive nature of an athlete, knowing they're actually playing for something as opposed to literally not playing for anything, comes out of them, and they end up giving their all regardless. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of ways they can fix it. It's just whether or not they will, because obviously at the end of the day, they're just trying to put on a show for the fans as best they can without any injury happening, because obviously that would be a disaster if someone tore their ACL in the All-Star game. That would or the slam dunk contest. That would be a catastrophic hit to the NBA. They would probably end up shutting down at least some sort of event at that point while they try to figure it out. I don't know how they would go about that, but I understand why they do it. It's not exciting. That's everyone's problem with it, but